Winger would rise to popularity in the late 80s and early 90s thanks to their first two albums, but two incidents in the band's career resulted in the public turning against them. Winger was different from the other bands of the hair metal era by being more progressive in their sound and featuring classically trained musicians. In fact, frontman and bassist Kip Winger referred to Winger as, and I quote, the hair metal version of Dream Theater. At the same time, Kip Winger had a background in ballet, leading some to believe that he wasn't macho. He would tell the LA Times when asked if he was macho, saying, "Some people don't think so. I'm sure people will have thought I was a sissy. They think of some guy in a tutu. Is that macho? Not to them. I'm just a guy. I don't think of myself as macho. I don't like guys who think of themselves as macho. These kinds of labels are dumb. They can be misleading," he'd say. By the time Winger was touring on their second record in 1990, things started to change. While their sophomore effort, In the Heart of the Young, sold over 1 million copies, the band started to notice dwindling crowds at their shows, as did their peers. Keyboardist Paul Taylor would recall in the book Nothing But a Good Time, by then we were into 1990, so we were starting to all notice, like, wow, where's everybody at the shows? And where's our chart numbers? I remember it finally hit home in Cincinnati. We had a night off and I went to see Extreme and Cinderella with David Lee Roth, and it was half full. I was like, whoa, something's up, because 2 years prior it would have been sold out. By 1991, Metallica released their juggernaut record, the Black Album, and one of the hugely successful singles off that record was Nothing Else Matters, whose video featured Metallica drummer Lars Ulrich throwing darts at a poster of Kip Winger. Kip Winger would reveal in an interview, "Metallica threw darts at our poster and told their fans to put a curse on us and hate us. I really don't understand what that was about." He would go on to reveal that he never personally met Lars Ulrich, but did see him at a gig once and wanted to speak with him, but Lars' bodyguard kept him away. He would add in the same interview, "I've got nothing against those guys, but the video didn't help me. I thought it was cheap and unfounded to a large degree. I don't think these guys can play a lot of our shit. I think they got some cool albums. Obviously they're huge. It was kind of like, hey everybody, we think these guys suck, so you should too." It wasn't just Metallica who took aim at the band, as did MTV. Winger had a complicated relationship with the network. On one hand, Winger owed a lot of its success to MTV, as their self-titled debut record, released in 1988, barely sold any copies out of the gate. Not helping was that their label, Atlantic Records, wanted to cut their losses, and given the astronomical costs of doing music videos back in those days, the label initially said no to making any music videos for their debut record. But after playing many gigs and pushing their label, they were allowed to audition for some executives at Atlantic to see whether they qualified for making a music video. Given Kip Winger's background in ballet, they passed the audition with flying colors and secured $90,000 to make a video for their single Madeleine. The video would premiere on MTV in the early hours of the morning on Headbangers Ball, and the reaction was overwhelmingly positive. Winger's crossover appeal saw their videos played outside of Headbangers Ball on the network's other programs, and their debut album soon went platinum. 2 albums later, and by 1993, rock music had undergone a massive shift, with the type of music Winger was playing becoming less popular, as alternative rock was the flavor of the week. The members of Winger, by their own admission, were betting on their third album being a huge hit. Guitarist Red Beach would admit that the band was getting big publishing advances ahead of their third album, Pull, coming out. Jumping the gun, Beach bought a new expensive house and relocated his whole family to Florida. Their third record, Pull, wouldn't even sell 500,000 copies, meaning it didn't even go gold. And within 8 months of buying that house, Beach would have to sell the property. While the band's record sales were drying up, there was still a decent draw on the touring circuit, with Red Beach remembering the moment that changed on tour, revealing in the book Nothing But a Good Time. "We were out on tour for Pull, selling 1,000 tickets a night in theaters. It was going really well, and this guy came on the bus and said, 'I gotta show you guys something.' He put Beavis and Butthead on, and when they hung that kid by his underwear on the tree in his Winger t-shirt, we all just looked at each other. I remember going, oh no, this could all be over. The day after it aired, nobody bought Winger tickets anymore. We had to cancel the tour, and in a separate interview, Beach would claim that radio DJs soon stopped playing the band's music altogether. The character that Beach was referring to was named Stuart, who was one of the uncool kids on the show who wore a Winger shirt. Compared to the main characters of Beavis and Butthead, who wore AC/DC and Metallica t-shirts, the show's message was simple. Winger was safe and uncool. The band would split the following year before reforming briefly in 2001, then more permanently in 2006. They've since released 3 additional albums since Pull. the most recent being 2014's Better Days Comin'. Kip Winger, for his part, also found time to work on classical music compositions with the San Francisco Ballet Orchestra, but in 2011 Kip Winger gave an interview to The Weaklings where he revealed he'd apparently buried the hatchet with Beavis and Butthead writer and creator Mike Judge. He would state, "When they did the Beavis and Butthead remake, I found Mike and I told him I wanted to clear the air. I never tried to sue MTV or Mike, never had a problem with the cartoon. I mean, it was David and Goliath really. There was nothing you could do but take it like a man. It certainly didn't help us, I'll tell you that. But it was a funny show and Mike's a funny guy. Winger was a band that was popular for some of the wrong reasons, man, so we ended up on the show. I don't believe there was any malicious intent. We exchanged some emails. Mike is a very nice guy, no hard feelings. I was hoping maybe he'd give me a voiceover role in his new cartoon though." That does it for today's video, guys. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like button and subscribe, and we'll see you again on Rock and Roll True Stories. Take care.